the Idaho college murders.
How does one individual kill 4 people at night and not wake up the other 2 roommates?
It is believed that between 3 and 4 a.m. on November 13th, 4 beautiful souls tragically lost their lives. 3 weeks earlier, just 3 miles away, a couple had a disturbing find. They let their dog Buddy out, and when they found him, he had been skinned. Buddy's owner said the other side of him was as though they had filleted him, like they were about to eat him. It was terrible, unbelievable. There are so many unanswered questions, but it's important to remember the victims and who they were. When I searched the victims' TikToks, I noticed that Kaylee followed me and watched my true crime videos. When I learned this, my heart sank. I feel even more compelled to share her story as well as the other victims and spread awareness. This killer needs to be found and be held accountable for this atrocity.
Stop all this. Let us mourn our children, and we can't when we know this person is out there. You know who did it. You know who you are. Just end it. The guilt has got to be just overwhelming. It's got to be sickening. Stop hiding. Stop running. Just turn yourself in.
This is personal. This was calculated.
Because they were real human beings, Kaylee and Maddie, and they posted real college girl things. And they left it.
All it takes is for one observant person to notice something out of the ordinary. Perhaps someone that has cuts on their hand, or a fingerprint on a wall with blood, or some dirty gloves, or someone acting unusual. It's all in the details, and sometimes it's right in front of us.
Link in bio for the full video.
The official Mexican police report regarding Shinquella's death has been leaked to the public. It was leaked by Gerardo Zinga, a Mexican investigative reporter. It further proves that everybody, including the Cabo Six, and also the authorities, were lying to Shinquella's family and to the general public up until recently, when immense public pressure has caused them to tell the truth. At 2:13 p.m., the Cabo Six requested that a doctor come to the room for Shinquella. They reported that she had drunk a lot of alcohol and that all she needed was an IV. They made it extremely clear that it was not a medical emergency, when in fact it was. The Dr. Carolina Beatrice, who is a doctor at the American Medical Center Clinic, arrived about an hour later to treat Shinquella. She stated that Shinquella was in extremely poor condition and she was not verbally responding at all, but was extremely dehydrated. So the doctor perceived it to be extreme signs of potential alcohol poisoning, but nowhere is it noted the physical injuries to Shinquella's face and body. The doctor then recommended that Shinquella be transferred to her local clinic, in which the Cabo Six refused and were adamant that Shinquella be served on site in the villa. They did not want her to leave that space. The doctor then tried to give her multiple IVs and was unsuccessful. At 4:20 p.m., Shinquella suffered from a seizure. At about 4:49 p.m., the doctor says that she stopped feeling a pulse and began CPR, but continued doing so until the ambulance arrived. The doctor and the paramedics performed 14 sessions of CPR. They gave 5 doses of adrenaline and 6 discharges with an AED without success. Shinquella also suffered cardiac arrest according to the autopsy, and that makes complete sense due to the amount of shots of adrenaline that she was given. The police arrived and talked with the doctor at 5:25 p.m., and yet the doctor only declared Shinquella legally dead at 5:57 p.m. The police report lists the reason for the call as a deceased person due to a heart attack. The doctor said that in the death certificate, the time between her injury and her death was only 15 minutes, stating that she died sometime between 3 p.m. and 3:15. When in reality, it was over 4 hours after the initial call was placed for medical attention that Shinquella was declared dead. This leaked police report makes it so abundantly clear that a cover-up had in fact gone on multiple levels. Who exactly to protect, it's unclear, but I'm assuming that it was protect the villa, the tourism industry in the area, the agent of public ministry of PGJE, Julio Daniel, to ensure that this didn't reflect poorly upon them. In protecting themselves, they were also inadvertently protecting the Cabo Six, who were able to get out of the country without ever being arrested or formally interviewed by Mexican authorities or American authorities. Everybody, from start to finish, had been lying to the Robinsons. All of this information and much more can be found in an in-depth video which I just uploaded regarding the new information that has been released about Shinquella's case. If you are interested, you can head over to my YouTube channel and check that out. That is linked on my page, or you can also just search Jada Hope and it will come right up.
This is an update about the hate crime that left 5 people dead in Colorado. Saturday night, a 22-year-old man entered an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs. He wore body armor and immediately started firing from a long rifle. But within moments, someone grabbed a handgun from the attacker and took him to the ground. And we now know the identity of the hero that stopped this domestic terrorist. This is Army veteran Richard Fierro. He was at Club Q watching a drag show with his wife and daughter that night. When the gunman entered, Richard hit the ground at first, but then he saw the attacker moving towards a patio where dozens of people had fled to. Richard sprinted across the room and used a handle on the man's body armor to pull him down. The rifle flew out of the attacker's hands, and that's when Richard saw another gun. Richard said, quote, "I grabbed the gun out of his hand and just started hitting him in the head over and over." Richard then yelled for help, and that's when a drag dancer came over and stomped on the gunman with her high heels. Police arrived within minutes, but by that point Richard thought he had killed the attacker. And unfortunately, Richard was tackled and kept handcuffed in a squad car for over an hour. 5 people were killed and 17 others were injured. Police initially said it was over 2 dozen, but that number has been lowered to 17. 13 of them remain in the hospital, and the gunman remains in the hospital as well. The 22-year-old faces 5 counts of murder and 5 counts of a hate crime, and those charges could change. Richard and his wife actually own a brewery, so please go support their business. You can also buy some things online if you're not local. And this is the official donation site for victims of the Club Q shooting, so please watch out for fakes.
One of the twin is a rapist, and DNA can't tell which one did it because they have 99.9 same DNA. A girl named Casey back in 2011 in the UK claimed that she was R by a man, and they did a DNA testing and came up to be this guy named Mohammed Asghar. Mohammed was questioned. He said, "No, it wasn't me," and they found out that he had an identical brother. Casey couldn't tell which one did it because they looked the same, and she didn't know they were twins. Brother Aftab said, "No, I didn't do it." The judges said that they had to pick one suspect and be sure of which one actually did it. The problem is identical twins have 99.9 identical DNA, so DNA test was useless. Same thing happened to the Cooper twins in Michigan. They couldn't tell which one was the R-ist, and they ended up being both freed because prosecutors couldn't find who was the real culprit. The Nimbar twins, one of them is a murderer, but they both ended up walking free because they couldn't prove which one did it. Same thing with the Sathis twins in Malaysia. They escaped the death penalty because they couldn't prove which one was a drug dealer. And Muhammad was charged, but are they sure he was the real culprit? I have the full video on YouTube.
30 years of nursing experience.
Right.
Damn.
The reason I'm saying this is because I spent a lot of years working with spinal cord injury patients. And depending on how high the injury to your spinal cord is, if you can breathe or not. So you're not gasping for air, your lungs are, you're not moving. So I used to work with patients on ventilators, and occasionally it would pop off if they have a spasm, right? The ventilator would pop off. Their body is not going to move because they need the ventilator to move. If you have an injury up here, you're not breathing. So it's impossible for the doctors to have come there and made any assessment. She wouldn't have had no signs of life. When she fell, if you look at the video, you can see when the back was broken because it's a certain way a paralyzed body can lay. If your body is not paralyzed, there's certain positions you just can't naturally go in. When she first was slung over and she sat up like that, that was just, her neck was broke at that time. And that's why you can tell the people that's in there knew something was wrong because they were like, get up, like demanding for her to get up because they knew she couldn't. She looked different and she didn't move after that. There's no breathing with a broken neck.
Well, that's interesting, and I want to look at this from 2 different ways, because the first way is very interesting. Here's why: under Mexican law, if you kill somebody in a fight, the maximum amount that you can get is 12 years in prison. All right, that's the max. If you kill someone in a fight, the max you can get is 12 years in prison. But what's interesting about that? There is a law which gives an enhancement to the 12 years. And if you kill somebody in a fight, but you kill them by suffocation, then it goes from 30 years to 60 years. So if you kill them by poison or by other things, but one of the things is suffocation. So what you're saying, Natural Beauty, is, hey, if she couldn't breathe, if she somehow suffocated, then that 12 years can get flipped from 12 years. Now we're talking about 30 to 60 years that you will never make it for a 30-year bid in a Mexican prison. Ever.
distance, I'm calling your name. I don't know where you are tonight, but I've got no tears left to cry. I'll dance my way through this life until I'm with you for one last time. Cause you are the only one who makes my life feel worth it's living. I know the only one that I believe in. So if there's no tomorrow, can you stay with me tonight? You are the only one, the only one that makes me feel alive.
Breaking news, the home belonging to Shanann Watts officially has new owners. The real estate agent posted a congratulations to the new owners and also confirmed that it is in fact the Watts house that sold. The new homeowners also took to social media and said, "We hope to honor you in the home that you once called yours and fill it with as many smiles as you did." They went on to state, "Thank you for making this a peaceful and loving home. Peace and love is all we felt from the moment we first walked through the door. This is because of you. We hope to have all of you alongside us during this new chapter." What do you guys think? Drop in the comments.